We all know that learning can feel like torture, almost like it goes against human nature. No wonder we dislike studying. If we hate it, it makes sense that we don't excel at it. But let's pause for a moment. There are two things here that don't quite add up. First, why does learning seem to go against my nature, but not that of geniuses like Newton or Einstein? The existence of mathematics suggests that some people are obsessed with it, and the field of astronomy shows us that others dive deep into the cosmos as if it were an addiction. If something really is against human nature, how does it evolve into a whole discipline or industry? Second, remember when we were kids, filled with curiosity about everything? We were interested in learning and constantly asking, what is this and why? So why does learning morph into a tedious chore as we grow up? The truth is, from a neuroscience perspective, learning isn't against human nature. We dislike it because we often use the wrong methods, turning the learning process into something difficult and painful. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Brainy Charisma. Today, let's chat about why learning isn't as addictive as gaming and how we can make it just as engaging. It all starts when you hear your friends raving about a cool new game. You decide to give it a shot, and to your surprise, you can't stop playing. You might not even know why you fell in love with it so quickly, but the more you play, the more you crave it. This is all thanks to the clever design of game developers, whose underlying logic mirrors the learning process. No goals, no motivation. Without motivation, you can't focus. Without focus, you won't get hooked. Every game has objectives. Even the simplest ones, like Candy Crush, set you up to progress through levels. Competitive games have even more complex goals, from slaying monsters for gold to climbing ranks to become a top player. For those who don't play, these goals might seem unappealing, but for players, they are badges of honor and status symbols. Think about it. Who doesn't respect a player with a top rank? Learning also has its goals. For instance, if you want to learn a language, you might think that mastering it means more job opportunities or standing out in the workplace. But for most people, such goals can feel vague, distant, and hard to grasp. Yes, knowing another language can lead to better job prospects and pay, but when you're just starting out, that goal seems too far-fetched to be motivating. I can relate. I once thought learning a new language was a monumental task, but an experience changed my perspective. A few years ago, while traveling for work, I met an Italian girl on a plane. I was totally taken in by her beauty, but her English was pretty rough, so we ended up communicating with simple English and gestures. Before we parted, we exchanged contact info, and that kicked off my obsession with learning Italian. I had never studied a word of it before, but suddenly I was devouring the language, transforming everything around me into Italian, and even imagining myself as an Italian. Before long, I could hold short conversations. Unfortunately, nothing romantic blossomed with the Italian lady, but that experience opened my eyes to how powerful having a clear goal can be in unlocking our learning potential. To this day, I still remember a lot of Italian. So the first crucial point is to set a clear goal for yourself. This goal should be something you genuinely want to achieve, not something someone else imposed on you. It needs to be your source of motivation. It doesn't matter if the goal seems noble or trivial. Whether you want to impress a girl or gain respect from others, as long as it inspires you, it's valid. However, make sure that your goal isn't too challenging. If it's too daunting, you'll feel overwhelmed from the get-go. This is why games break down big goals into smaller ones. In competitive games, before reaching the top rank, you start from bronze, silver, gold, and diamond. Even in a single match, you focus on smaller goals like protecting your base, defeating enemy heroes, or taking the dragon. These manageable objectives are what keep players engaged. Moreover, games provide a clear upgrade path. When you know your objectives in the game, you can set expectations for your progress. Back to learning. Once you've found your source of motivation, you need to keep it alive by breaking your big goal into smaller, achievable ones. For example, even if learning Italian didn't lead to romance, it might help you meet friendly new people or spark a new love in the future. The key to breaking down goals isn't just fragmentation. It's assessing your situation and starting with the most urgent objectives. For instance, avoid setting a goal to memorize 20 words daily until you hit 10,000. That's just a recipe for losing motivation when you don't see results in real life. Instead, figure out why you want to learn and what you need to focus on first. Just like in gaming, you usually start with a character or gear that's easy to use and strong in the current version, so you can enjoy the game. If you want to learn video editing, begin with the type of videos you want to create. If you want to make a game, start by learning how to design your favorite characters. This way, you're solving your most pressing needs through learning, leading to a fulfilling experience. Secondly, reward yourself when you achieve your goals. Achieving goals should come with rewards. In many games, the higher your level, the cooler your gear and skills become, allowing you to strut around like a champ in the newbie village or challenge top players. These enticing rewards keep players hooked, but don't think game rewards are simple. Too few rewards can make things dull, while leveling up too quickly can also be boring. Finding the right balance keeps players engaged and wanting more. Unfortunately, learning often lacks a solid reward system. Sometimes there's just no reward at all. So you need to create your own rewards. Instill the belief that your efforts will pay off so that your contributions feel worthwhile. We've set phased goals above. You can also create a tiered reward list based on what you want. Small goals get small rewards, while big goals yield bigger ones. For example, if I learn how to do data analysis in Excel, I'll treat myself to a nice dinner. If my exam ranking improves, I'll reward myself with a PS5. Don't stress too much about what if you slack off after a treat. That only adds unnecessary pressure. Remember, the knowledge and skills you've accumulated over the years won't disappear just because you take a little break. The purpose of rewards is to give yourself positive feedback, which keeps your motivation alive. Learning may be tough, but if you allow yourself to enjoy it once in a while, it can become a pleasurable experience. In addition to mainline rewards, games often include hidden probabilistic rewards. These depend on luck rather than level ups or spending money, and it's these unpredictable, scarce rewards that spark players' interest the most. Back in 1938, American psychologist B.F. Skinner conducted an experiment where he placed a mouse in a box with a lever that dispensed food when pressed. The mouse quickly learned to press the lever. Skinner then changed the rules so food was only dispensed every minute, and the mouse quickly lost interest, pressing the lever less frequently. When Skinner switched to a probabilistic reward system, the mouse became hooked, pressing the lever incessantly. We can adopt this method for setting hidden rewards as well. List out the rewards you want, differentiating between mainline and hidden ones. Create cards for them based on tiers and probabilities. A basic reward for most common occurrences, a medium reward for something rarer, and a super prize for those 1% chances. You can determine these probabilities, but don't make them too high. Then, reward yourself after accumulating a certain number of study hours, say every 10 hours. Draw a card for a surprise. Over time, you'll find yourself like Skinner's mouse, drawn into the fun of learning and rewards, unable to stop. Once you have your motivation and positive feedback in place, let's discuss the third point: how to maintain your best state. Have you noticed that when games set difficulty levels, newcomers aren't just thrown into a slaughterhouse? Instead, they can accomplish tasks with a little effort, building a sense of control and achievement right off the bat, which naturally keeps them playing. But as players gain experience and skills, they find that higher levels don't mean they can defeat enemies with a single hit. As you level up, so do your opponents, and you must continue to put in effort to succeed. This may sound silly, but these gradually escalating challenges keep you immersed in the optimal flow state, a concept proposed by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. It's the state where you're fully absorbed in an activity, like hitting every shot in basketball or winning every game. There's a popular story about Newton, who was so engrossed in solving a complex scientific problem that he forgot about dinner. He told his housekeeper to prepare a chicken, but when she returned, he was still deep in thought. By the time he finally looked up, all that was left on the table was a chicken skeleton. He thought he had finished dinner when in reality, he hadn't even touched it. His research had completely captured his attention, making him oblivious to hunger or the passage of time. We can apply a similar strategy by setting the right level of difficulty to keep ourselves in a great state. If you're a novice in a subject, don't start by tackling the hardest problems. Begin with simpler ones. This approach has two advantages. First, it builds confidence and a positive mindset. Many struggle because they fear they won't succeed, putting pressure on themselves before they even begin. Second, starting easy allows you to gradually identify where you need to improve, rather than feeling lost like a new player thrown into a pro match, overwhelmed by defeat, without knowing their flaws. Specifically, find tests that match your ability level. If you're a beginner, start with simple problems. Once you reach a medium level, challenge yourself with slightly tougher ones, enough to stretch your abilities, but not so much that you feel overwhelmed. Many games categorize difficulty into easy, normal, and hard levels. You should establish similar categories for your learning goals that is gradually increasing your challenge from easy to hard. The key is that this process shouldn't be painful. You won't feel bored from lower difficulty levels, nor anxious from higher ones. You'll find yourself progressing smoothly in that sweet spot. With these 3 steps in place, your attitude towards learning will shift dramatically. You won't see it as a burden anymore, but will be fully immersed in your own world, understanding not just what you want to learn, but also why and how. Once you approach learning as a game you're willing to invest in, the more you play, the better you get. And the better you get, the more you want to play. This self-reinforcing cycle will eventually elevate you to become the ultimate boss in your own learning journey. Thanks for watching.